Hey again and welcome back to a new video. This video will be about the patch notes for Season 5, so for the Schism update, which dropped last week, but I wanted to do one video about all changes, so I needed to wait until they revealed the new champion. There are 3 different parts in the video and each part is timestamped, so for the ones who are only interested in one part, you can just look in the description and skip to the part you want to watch. The first part and the biggest part is going to be about the balance changes. So what are the balance changes and what do I think about the balance changes? The next part is about the new champion. So how does the kit look and what do I think about his kit? And finally, the last part, the shortest part of the video, is only about some cosmetics. So what skins will we get in the first update for Season 5? The first change is about cauterize, and in my opinion it's a really good change since we kinda got forced to buy cauterize every game because it was really needed, otherwise you wouldn't be able to kill something because of heals, and there wasn't really a variety in your item picks because your first item always had to be cauterize. But now cauterize is no longer a purchasable item in the item store, so instead you will have cauterize in your base kit regardless of your role. So it doesn't matter if you're playing support, tank, damage dealer or flank, everyone will have cauterize on their base attacks. To not make supports completely useless, cauterize will still have a rank system, so to say, so you will start with the initial value of 25% and the value will increase over time, so the maximum value of cauterize is 90%. In my opinion, it's a really nice change because you get offered a lot more variety for your item picks. You can buy whatever item you want, you're not forced to buy cauterize and you're still able to kill the enemy team in late game. But in my opinion, the maximum value of cauterize is a little bit too high. I feel like 90% is a little bit too high, so they either need to decrease the maximum value of cauterize or they need to buff all supports, since they used to nerf all supports when they also nerf cauterize, but since they buff cauterize now, they either have to buff healers again or they need to decrease the value to its current state. Another issue I see is that supports will feel really weak in the upcoming patch. Since everyone applies cauterize, supports are also able to apply cauterize, and it will be really rough for you to get a heal out of caut, and cauterize also got buffed, so it feels even worse to heal your allies in late game. Furthermore, every role besides supports gets offered more variety in the item picks, so they can buy better items for them, and supports didn't really use to buy cauterize in the beginning, so they are still forced to buy the same items. They are still forced to buy Kronos, Moral Boost, Nimble, Haven, whatever. But every other role doesn't need to spend those credits on cauterize now. They can buy better items, so every role gets buffed a little bit by picking better items. Let's talk about some other items. So cauterize has been removed from the item store, so we need another item to replace cauterize, and the new item is called provision. The price of provision is 250, 500, 750. And provision restores 15, 30 or 45% of your maximum ammo after earning an elim. And I think this item is okay. I'm not sure if it's dog shit, but I'm not too sure how good it is. It can be good on some champs probably, but I think it's not really worth it to pick it, but I have to test it out. So Veteran gets buffed a little bit. So currently you increase your maximum HP by 4, 8 or 12%, and Veteran gets buffed to 5, 10 or 15%. I think it's a nice change. It gets a little bit closer to Haven, so it's still a little bit cheaper than Haven, so probably Veteran is definitely the better pick than Haven, since Haven gives you DR by 5.5%, 11% and 16.5%, I think. So it's just a little bit better than Veteran, but it's also way more expensive. So I think it's a nice buff to Veteran. It's a cheap item, so you could just easily buy it and get a lot of value out of it. Rejuvenate gets also buffed, which is really nice. Rejuvenate's scaling gets increased from 6, 12 and 18% to 7, 14, 21%. But considering the maximum value of cauterize, I think it's not enough. I personally think Rejuvenate is a pretty strong item, and I like that they buff it, but I think they should buff it to 10, 20, 30%, how it used to be, since cauterize used to be 90% and rejuvenate used to be 10, 20, 30% back then. So I like the changes, I like the buffs, but in my opinion they should buff it a little bit more. So Azan finally received some nerfs. I'm glad to see it, since it was pain to play against Azan. It was really annoying. I feel like he could have gotten out of every situation. He could have fought 1 versus 5, so I'm really glad that they nerfed it. I'm not sure if it's enough, we will see, but I'm really happy to see those nerfs. So his legendary persistence gets nerfed. They take out the 5% damage reduction, so you know, only have 40% lifesteal, which is still pretty good. They make it possible, so this is actually a buff, they make it possible to destroy your walls, so it's working similar to Nara, reactivating your wall, your Q ability. I think drops your walls again, so you can trap enemies, and after you killed the enemy you can drop the wall again. If you mistakenly trapped your ally, you also can drop the wall, which is pretty nice, and you don't have to wait out the whole time of the wall to push up. So I think this is a nice quality of life change, or quality of life buff, which is fine. It doesn't make him too OP or something, because it's just a nice little quality of life change. His passive, his IR, his damage reduction gets nerfed a little bit. It gets taken down from 20% to 15%, which is nice. His judgment, so his weapon has limited range, or a little bit less range now. It's going down from 450 to 300. I think that's fine. I mean, it was kind of rough in some way to hit your judgment, your X or whatever over the whole map, but I still think it's nice to make it able to not stand back in a safe spot, just peek out, throw your weapon and get the lifesteal and heal out of cauterize. So now you have to be a little bit closer. I'm not sure how far those distances are, but I think it's nice. And then for conviction, they removed the crowd control immunity and debuff immunity during the dash, and I'm really glad to see this, since you couldn't really CC him while he was dashing, or he could just clean all CC effects while dashing, and I didn't really understand why. It made him really strong for a tank. So usually tanks are kind of vulnerable to CC, and I don't know, his overall kit just seemed really overwhelming, seemed really nice, so I'm glad that they took it out. Let's talk about some card nerfs for Azan. They basically nerfed some heal cards, so they nerfed Eternal Strive. Currently you heal 85 per level for using an ability above your IR threshold, and they reduced the scaling to 75. I think that's fine. And they also nerfed the heal for every percentage point of IR consumed by abilities from 6 to 5 per level. So this card was Grim Deliverance. I think that's fine, since besides his normal lifesteal given by one legendary, you also had a lot of healing cards in your loadout. So he should have now a little bit less sustain. He's still really strong in my opinion, so we have to see if it's enough, but I'm definitely glad that they nerfed Azan and they hit him with some heavy nerfs. Next we have Barrick, and Barrick got some nerfs on Forgefire, so in my opinion it wasn't that strong, or you didn't really want to pick it since you needed to sacrifice your ult or your dome sheet, which made your ult really strong. I mean, your damage output on your ult turret is nice, but you definitely ulted for the shield to have a safe space where your team can hide, or at least yourself. It got nerfed, so the ultimate cost rate got increased a little bit. Instead of 35%, you now need 40% to replace your ult turret. I think that's fine. In my opinion, it's not too crazy, the legendary. I mean, the damage is annoying, but as I said, you didn't really want to sacrifice your shield, so I guess that's fine. I guess the win rate was just a little bit too high or something, but I don't really care about it. It's okay, I guess. Then we have Bug, and Bug got some nice changes or some nice buffs, a little bit of movement speed increase on some cards. So when using your recovery, used to be 10% movement speed increase per level, now it's 12%. Then on the next card, you got increased movement speed for 5 seconds after getting a killing blow or limb, got increased from 5% each level to 7% each level. I think that's nice, just a little bit of buff. And then you also got increased reload speed buff to 7% instead of 5% per level. I think that's fine. I'm not sure if you want to run this card. I personally don't run this card, but maybe it's strong, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's really nice to run. Some people probably run it, but I guess the bug changes are nice. He doesn't feel too overwhelming currently. I think he could get some other buffs maybe to put him more in line with other flanks, since we got Vatu and Vara and they both feel really strong. So I hope it will help Bug to get picked a little bit more often, but I still think that, yeah, he's in a rough spot and it doesn't help him too much. But definitely nice changes to give him back more mobility, more movement speed. I think movement speed feels really great in the game, so I guess nice changes for him. And similar to Bug, Eevee also got some buffs. You can now increase the duration of your saw by 0.55 seconds instead of 0.5 seconds for each level, I guess. Okay, whatever. Then Rift Walk, increase your movement speed by 8% for 2 seconds after using Blink. Now you have increased movement speed by 10% for each level. I think this is way more impactful than the first change on Eevee, because the movement speed is, I don't know, it feels better than just increased duration, since you probably won't soar until the ability ends, but whatever. Then Swift Witch, increase your movement speed during soar by 5% is buffed to 7%. This is pretty nice. I think those card is used really often by most players, at least on level 2 or 3. So I guess this is nice to have even more increased movement speed on Swift Witch. Then we have Shield, increase your reload speed, whatever. I think reload speed is not that important. And last change for Eevee, increase your movement speed by 8% for 5 seconds after getting a killing blow, buff from 8% to 10%. I think this is nice. I could see it, but probably you need to pick other cards on Eevee. So I think I don't use this card in any of my Eevee loadouts, because there are other items or other cards, sorry, you have to prioritize. But I guess for those players using this card, it's a nice change. Besides that, I don't know, other cards you want to prioritize on Eevee. But still, movement speed buffs are always nice for flanks, I guess. So I think nice changes for Eevee. I don't mind them. I'm really glad to see some more Fernando now, since he still feels really overwhelming. It's really annoying to play against the shield. So I'm glad they nerfed some Aegis things, since I feel like it's the most annoying legendary, or the only played legendary for Fernando currently. I wish Scorch will get a little bit buffed, or at least tune down Aegis, so some players might discover Scorch again, since in my opinion it's really nice legendary for people who can play it. But let's talk about the changes. I'm glad to see those shield nerfs. They increase the time you need until your shield starts recharging from 1.2 seconds to 1.35 seconds, which is nice. They also decrease the percentage of shield recharge while shield is active from 0.275% to 0.225%, so some percentage numbers, I don't know, we will see how it feels. Increased percentage of shield required to bring the shield up after being broken. This is actually really nice, so I think I can imagine this feels really good to play against, not good for Nen, but to play against, from 20% to 25%. And lastly, they decreased the base shield HP from 5,500 to 5,200. Also pretty nice, I think. Or I hope it helps to, I don't know, to nerf Fernando enough, or nerf Aegis enough to, I don't know, make it fun to play against. I mean, shooting shields is always not fun, but I don't know, I hope it feels a little bit more balanced, let's say it in this way. I'm really happy to see the next champion being buffed. I'm really happy to see the Cherish buffs. So Cherish increased scaling gets buffed from 15% to 20%. I think this is pretty nice. I was really sad when they put it down. I mean, they needed to put it down since Cauterize got nerfed and stuff like that, and it was really strong. But now I'm really happy to see it buffed. It puts it more in line with other supports. Other supports feel way better in early game. Furia gets stronger in late game, obviously, when playing Cherish. And I think most people underestimate how strong Furia is, or how strong Cherish currently is, since most people play Exterminate. I've also seen some Solar Blessing players, but I love to play Cherish on Furia, and I think most people don't see how strong it actually is. Even with 15% increased heal, it feels really good, but I'm really happy to see it's getting buffed to 20% again. Grog also received some buffs, so for his Totemic Ward Legendary we will gain a third charge of your healing totem, and your healing is, or used to be increased by 10%, is now increased by 15%. I think that it's nice. I mean, the legendary felt okay to me. It wasn't too good, it wasn't too bad, so I guess just buffing him a little bit, considering Cauterize is also buffed. I think that's fine. In my opinion, they should buff every support because of Cauterize being 90% now, but I definitely like the changes. I like to see the grog. I like to see how good he feels. In my opinion, he's really fun support. He deals a lot of damage. Many people underestimate him as well. He's rough to play. He's hard to make him work, but in the right hands, he's definitely a great pick, and I like his buffs. I like to see a little bit more heals on his totems. So then some Inara buffs, I guess, but I don't know, they should buff her in other ways or other abilities. Reduce the time before you throw your spear from 1.5 seconds to 1.4 seconds, so slight buff to your ultimate, and then increase the effective range from 75 units to 85 units. Okay, whatever. Inara feels terrible compared to Barrick or Nando or other point tanks. Not because of her ult wind up time or her range on her weapon. She feels terrible because of other reasons. They should buff her in other ways, not buff those things in my opinion. So I think changes or buffs are okay, but not really. I mean, those are the wrong changes in my opinion. They should buff her in other ways. They should also give her back her 40% increased heal when using her right click, since Cauterize got also buffed again. So there's no need to keep it down in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's still overwhelming to bring it back to 40%, but in my opinion she needs other buffs, and this won't change her playtime at all. I wouldn't play her more often just because I need 0.1 second less to throw out my ult, or because I have more range on my weapon. But we will see. I hope they finally buff her in other ways in the future, but I don't know, whatever, I guess. Genos gets some buffs, and I think they put him more in line with Corvus. He feels kind of similar to Corvus in a weaker way. They buff Luminary, so the increased value when marking a target who already had a mark is now buffed from 250 to 285, and they also buffed his astral mark, so your time healing over time is now going from 180 every second to 200 every second. I think that's the value before they nerf Cauterize. So when Cauterize used to be 90% in the past, he healed for 200 every second, I think, so they just bring it back to how it used to be. I think that's okay. I still think Genos is not amazing. I mean, you definitely pick Genos for other reasons than for his healing output, but you still shouldn't underestimate his healing output. His healing output is not that bad over time actually, but it's kind of rough to make it work, or to actually keep your team healed in a fight. You just have them to get early in the fight again when healing out of combat. I don't know, Genos as a support is okay, but you definitely pick him for other reasons than his heal. Then a slight buff to Khan's Vortex Grip. You stun them now for 1.4 seconds instead of 1.2 seconds. I guess that's fine. It felt not really worth it to run Vortex Grip. I mean, everyone hated old Vortex Grip, but I guess the nerf was a little bit too much to Vortex Grip, so I think it's okay to buff it. I'm curious to see how good it actually feels. I think it's a good change. I think it's fair that it gets buffed. And finally, more Alacrity changes I got. I really hate Lian as a champion. I hate Alacrity Lian even more. I mean, if you played Precision Lian, whatever. I mean, I still hate Lian, but I guess that's okay. But Alacrity is the dumbest legendary in the game. So I'm really glad that they nerfed even more, and I'm still not sure if it's going to be enough. So now you also have a increased cooldown by 1 second when picking Alacrity. So I guess okay, nice to see the cooldown, but you still have the issue that you can spam your movement ability, spam your Valor, so spam your Grace, spam your Valor, get the reset for each ability used, get the reset for the other ability. It's still the same thing, even if your cooldown is increased by 1 second. I just think, I don't know, they should nerf her a little bit more, but definitely nice to see those nerfs to Alacrity Lian. And we see some core buffs. I'm really glad to see core buffs. I mean, he wasn't in a bad spot. I still think a good Makor could completely carry a game, but I guess the average Makor deserves a buff, so I guess that's fine. They increased his weapon damage from 550 to 575. I actually like this a lot. I mean, in my opinion, he doesn't really need it, but I definitely like it to see his weapon shot buffed. It used to be 650. I mean, it's still away from 650, but I like to be a little bit closer to 650. I have to do some math to see if you actually need shot less to kill certain champions. I'm not sure, so maybe you still need the same amount of shots to kill a champion, but I guess it's still nice to get out a little bit more damage. We have to see how it feels. And god, I love the next change. I love this card so much. Determination is such a strong card in my opinion. If you I run it on level 5 on every core legendary or every core loadout besides my half shell loadout, because it's so strong. When you run it on level 5, you have 25% increased healing when you're below 50% of your health. So this feels really nice, especially when you also pick rejuvenate. So this card gets buffed from 5% to 6%. So on level 5 you now have 30% increased healing when being low, and this feels so great. It's so nice seeing this card buffed, seeing Reju buffed, and running those cards together. God, core will be so nice in the future. I'm really happy to see those buffs to Reju and the Reju cards. They just want to buff him, they want to give him some love. I guess that's fine. I mean, in my opinion, he didn't really need the buffs. I mean, in some situations, it definitely felt rough to play him, but I guess it's just bad matchup against core, and you have to know how to play him currently. I guess that's fine, but I don't mind the changes. I mean, it's not like he's really strong currently, so I guess it's good to buff him a little bit, to put him more in line with other off tanks. Whatever, we will see. I like the buffs, I like the changes to core. I'm curious to play it. I'm really excited to play core next patch. Oh, I love the new pip. I love the combat medic buffs. Combat medic gets buffed. You not only heal your allies now for 750 a shot, you also have increased fire rate while using combat medic, so your fire rate is increased by 10%. I don't know how strong it feels if you actually recognize it. Probably players playing pip a lot, or playing combat medic a lot, or playing with a combat medic a lot will recognize it. I'm not sure if the, I don't know, average player recognize it, but I guess people being into pip definitely recognize it. I love playing combat medic pip, so I love to see those changes. I'm curious to know how good it really is, but I definitely like it. I love to see combat medic buffed. In my opinion, it's the best healing legendary we have in the game. It's better than Dumba, it's better than Lifelink Luna. A good combat medic can carry game in my opinion, but most people are not really confident in combat medic. Most people underestimate how strong it is. You often get blamed or flamed for picking combat medic or picking pip in general as a support, but in my opinion combat medic is actually pretty good, so I like to see those buffs. I hope some more people will play him now. Then we have some Sadi buffs, I guess, or changes. So when playing Ricochet, you have increased collision radius on the coin, and now it targets the closest enemy on initial hit and the lowest health enemy in its range for subsequent shots. I guess that's fine. A little bit of quality of life changes, makes it easier to finish up kills, makes it even more annoying, but I still think you wouldn't really use the coin that often. It's okay, I guess. And wallbang, increased the size of wallbang's projectile. I'm not sure. I guess that's fine. Sometimes it feels terrible to use her ult. People can easily dodge it. I really hoped they would nerf her, at least on her invisibility, since it feels really annoying to play against. You can't tell where she's going. I mean, it makes sense because she's invisible, but on other champions being invisible, it's different, and she can spam her invisibility when using the right cards and the loadout for, or the legendary for it. I'm kind of sad that they didn't nerf her. Maybe next patch. We will see. Okay, some Sky buffs. Increase her base HP from 2000 to 2100. Increase her base movement speed from 380 to 390. I guess, okay, whatever. Sky is still a terrible pick. Don't pick Sky. She feels awful. That's my take on Sky. Torvald getting some buffs, which is nice. He finally gets CC immunity while using his ult. I think this is really strong. You now can counter ult. I mean, your ult is charging really slowly, so it's not like other champions being able to actually counter ult, but it's still nice ability, or it's still nice to have the ability to counter ult. It's definitely nice to don't get interrupted while ulting. I think this is probably, yeah, the main idea, to don't get interrupted or don't stop his ult instead of counter ulting. But I still think counter ulting is nice. Buff his gauntlet, his primary fire. damage per shot is increased from 190 to 200. I think this is nice. I think they already buffed it from 180 to 190, so this already felt pretty good. I think this feels even better. This is nice. And reduce the movement speed penalty during nullify from 40% to 30%. Oh, so this is a nerf. I think this is fine. Sometimes it feels really frustrating getting silenced and slowed, whatever. So I guess this is fine, especially because they buff him in other ways. So I guess fair enough to nerf this ability. And some card changes. You, instead of increasing your movement speed while using your recharge, you now gain movement speed increase for 3 seconds after using your recharge. I guess this is really nice. It's a nice buff for... yeah, it's a nice buff. I think it's way better to have movement speed after using your ability than getting movement speed while using ability. So I like the Torvald changes. I really hope to see some rework of Torvald, since I think it's probably still not enough to make him viable as a tank, but definitely nice changes. He probably gets out a little bit more damage. He gets more utility due to his movement speed changes for himself, at least. Has some more changes to use his ult now. I guess that's nice, some nice buffs, but I think they actually need to rework him to make him a viable tank. And we finally get some Vora nerfs. So they removed the damage immunity at the start of the ultimate. I really like it. It was really dumb. It was really frustrating to have that damage immunity when playing against Vora, so I like it. They also reduced the size of the projectiles her weapon projectiles by 10%. I also like this one, since she could just spam around corners sometimes, or when you were hiding behind boxes, you still got hit, which is really annoying. I mean, the hitboxes are definitely the dumbest hitboxes ever. I mean, compared to other games, the hitboxes are way too huge, but her hitboxes on her weapon attacks, or her weapon projectiles, are even worse in my opinion than the general hitboxes. So I like to see it nerfed. And I'm not sure why they buffed Deafening Silence, since, I mean, a silence is really strong, and Vora already feels really strong. In my opinion, she's really annoying. It's just annoying to play against her, especially as supports, and they buff Deafening Silence, so the silence is increased from 1.5 seconds to 1.65 seconds. I don't know why. I think it wasn't really needed, but I like the nerfs on Vora. I definitely like the nerfs, so I hope it's not too annoying to have Deafening Silence buffed. And last change, or last nerf on Yago, they reduced the benefits of her damage reduction from 35% to 30%. I think this is really nice. This is really good. They also nerfed her ultimate a little bit, so they increased the time until pulling the enemy start from 0.5 seconds to 1 second. They reduced the speed of pulling the target towards Yago by 5% and reduced Yago's health while in ultimate form from 3,500 to 3,300. I guess that's nice, especially because when Yago ulted in front of you, I don't know, it was really annoying. You couldn't really do anything. You heavily rely on your team to help you, so I guess it's fair to nerf it. I hate playing against Yago. I hate getting ulted by Yago, so I like that they reduced the damage reduction, and I also like that they nerfed her ultimate a little bit. So overall, I think the changes are really nice. I think the changes to Cauterize are nice. In my opinion, Cauterize doesn't need to be 90%, so they either need to buff the other supports as well, since Cauterize is stronger now. It's a little bit too strong in my opinion, or they also could just increase the effectiveness of Reju. But I think the easiest way is just to tune down Cauterize to its current state. I like the nerfs and buffs mostly. I mean, I hope that they would have buffed or nerfed some other champions, but I guess overall it's a nice patch. Overall it's nice balance changes. So that's my take on it. I like the balance changes. I'm happy to see Makoa changes. I'm happy to see Pip changes. Those are definitely the two champions I want to play a lot next patch. Let me know what you think about the changes, and let's hop into the second part of the video. Let's talk about the new champion. Let's talk about VII. As you heard, his name, or the new champion's name, is VII, and his title is Right Hand of the Tribunal. So he's going to be a flank champ, and his HP is 1900, so considered to other flanks, I think it's okay. He's similar to Maeve and Talus, but seeing his kid makes it really justified to put his HP pool at such a low number in my opinion. The primary fire or weapon is called heavy SMG, and you have 3 different modes you can choose between. Your first or your default mode is called burst mode, and it basically feels similar to Victor's burst fire. So you fire off 3 shots, dealing 150 damage each shot every 0.65 seconds, and your maximum range on that mode is 300 units. Your second mode is called mag dump, and this mode is best used in close range, so you unload your entire magazine dealing 500 damage for every 10 bullets fired. Your SMG has a maximum ammo capacity of 40 bullets, so that's 2000 damage you deal when hitting all your 40 bullets or when being close enough to the enemy, since you have a lot of damage fall off, so it's kind of useless to use over longer distances. Your last mode is called automatic, and you basically gain a automatic SMG dealing 175 damage every 0.175 seconds, and the maximum range of this mode is 175 units. As you can see, you have 3 different modes for 3 different distances in some way. So you either have the mag dump for close range, dealing nice burst damage when being close enough. You have your automatic mode when you want to get out consistent damage over time, or would just want to get out damage over mid-range. Or you have the burst mode when you want to deal damage over distances, which is really nice in my opinion to give a flank the opportunity to poke, and I really like that you can choose between those modes and to have some different play states for each distance you choose to play in. Your alt fire or RMB is called trigger discipline, and this basically helps you to swap between each of the 3 modes. So that's basically all your right click can do, you just swap to another mode. Let's talk about your first ability, your Q ability being called explosive dodge. You do a dodge roll similar to Cassie, but you also drop 3 little explosives, and each explosive deals 250 damage, and I think it's a nice way to give a flank a little bit more mobility besides the movement ability, and also get out a little bit more damage. So I don't know how it feels in game, but in my opinion it looks pretty nice. Let's talk about your second ability, your movement ability being called grappling hook, and this ability is really nice, it's really unique, and I don't know, I'm really excited to test it out. So basically you're able to grapple to walls and stick to the wall for 5 seconds. While being stuck to the wall, you're invisible, but once you move or you use your weapon, you're no longer invisible. But that's not all you can use your grappling hook for. You're also able to kind of hook enemies to you. So whenever you use your grappling hook, your movement ability on flanks, supports and damage champions, you deal a little bit damage to them and you also pull them to you. But when you use your grappling hook on tanks, you also do a little bit damage to them, but instead of pulling them to you, you pull yourself to the tank. So I think it's really nice. It's a nice way to I don't know, to interrupt the enemy positioning, to just be annoying, to bring them out of positioning, to get in instead of grappling to the wall, sticking to the wall. You're also able to grapple to the wall and go past the wall, so you don't have to actually stick to the wall. I think this ability, the whole ability is so nice. It's looking really good, and I don't know, as you can see, I'm really excited about this ability. Let's talk about your ultimate ability being called Order 77. You basically are able to target an enemy, and if you target them for 2 seconds, you deal 250 damage and you fear them. And I really like this because currently Maldamba is the only champion who has some kind of fear ability. So I really like to see some more fears, and I also like that you can actually target enemies you want to fear. So maybe if you want to engage, you use your ult, you fear the support and then you engage. I can imagine you can use it in really nice situations. I'm curious to see it. I'm excited to test it out. It looks pretty nice to me. Let's finally talk about your legendaries. The first legendary is called Tribunal upgrades. When using Tribunal upgrades, your heavy SMG gains elemental effects for each of your 3 modes. When using the mag dump, the close range mode, basically add a fire effect which causes the enemy to take damage over time. When using the burst mode, the mode for distances, for longer distances, you basically add some electricity to your burst mode shots, which causes the enemy to be revealed and also deal some AoE damage. And when using the automatic fire, the fire weight for mid-range or for consistent damage, you basically infuse your shots with ice, which causes the enemy to be slowed. Your level 2 unlock is called overcharge, and instead of fearing your enemies, you now can deal a burst of 1100 damage, and your ultimate charge rate is also increased by 50%. Your level 8 unlock is called Spring Loaded, and this basically buffs your explosive dodge. So you drop an explosion where you land and take off from, and you also decrease the cooldown by 35%, increase the range by 25%. So basically gain a little bit more damage, a little bit more distance on your explosive dodge, be a little bit more mobile, I guess. So that's it for VII's kit. What do you think about it? I personally feel like his kit is pretty nice, it looks pretty good. I'm really excited to finally test it out. I think he seems pretty balanced. I don't know how long his cooldowns are, I haven't really looked into his loadout cards, but for now I would say he looks pretty balanced, he looks pretty nice. I think he has a lot of unique abilities, and I don't know, I'm really excited to test him out. I think he looks pretty good. I mean, it's kind of rough to imagine he's a flank. He also probably could be a damage dealer, but I think you have many ways of engaging on the enemy. You have some nice abilities to go in, get out, and I don't know, I'm really excited. Let me know what you think about him, and let's see which skins we will see in the beginning of 2022. First of all, let's start off with VII's skins. I think which is pretty unique also is that he starts off with 7 skins, so it's kind of rare that a champion starts off with so many skins, but whatever. The first skin is called Deadly Pala, which can be unlocked through the season pass, similar to Fear skin, I guess, or other skins for the other champions being released last year. I haven't really been active last year, so I don't know what skins are there for the other champions, but I know that you could get the Fear skin through the season pass. The next skin is called Crimson Guard. I really like that he gets a full face mask. The next skin is called Ivy Sentinel. It looks pretty nice. The mask also looks pretty good. I like that they have changed the style of his mask for every skin. This is pretty nice in my opinion. The next is a purple one, which is pretty nice because it can be obtained through Trials of the Realm. So whenever you do challenges, the Trials of the Realm or whatever, I don't know exactly how it works, but probably doing 4 challenges, I don't know, something like that, and you unlock this skin, which looks pretty nice. It has some abyssal touch, like the Rom skin or Draugus. They are all a little bit purple, so I like this. The next skin is Biting Wind. It's a bluish skin, looks also pretty nice. This is obtainable through the bounty store. The last one, his golden skin, looks pretty good. I think it's a pretty nice golden skin. I mean, there are some terrible golden skins, but this one looks pretty good in my opinion. Okay, let's look at the event pass. Apparently they keep the same system with the battle pass, event pass, whatever, so same amount of levels, 24 levels. Kind of boring in my opinion. I kind of wanted to get back the old battle pass system, but I guess that's it, we can't change this. So it's called Abyss Hunter Academy, and your skins are for Maeve and for Ray. The 2 Maeve skins are Schoolyard Maeve and Study Hall Maeve. I think the pink one looks a little bit better. I probably choose the pink one, even though the splash art looks terrible in my opinion. I mean, the skin itself, okay, whatever, just same as usual, I guess. Like same champions and whatever looks nice on the champion, I guess. Yeah, Ray skin, class, President Ray and Valedictorian Ray. I don't know which one looks better. Probably, I can't really decide. They both are looking kind of good, but somehow weird. I don't know. Same style as the Maeve skin, obviously. And finally, another golden skin. It's Golden Pip. I don't know what to think about it. It doesn't look too good. Maybe it looks better in-game. I hope so, but his fur looks kind of weird. I don't know, I don't like this golden skin. Kind of sad actually. The next skin is Dark Drake Azan, and this skin looks really nice. I really like the look of it. It's I don't know, it looks pretty cool, to be honest. I really like the Azan skin. And the next skin is Jurassic Ying, and this skin is available with purchase of the Season Pass 2022, so it's similar to the Fury skin I was talking about earlier, and I really like this skin. It looks pretty nice. And finally, let's get to the last skin, or let's get to a Willow skin. Willow finally gets a skin, and you're able to get a skin when winning 100 games. You're getting the Will O skin, in my opinion, looks pretty nice. I'm excited for the voice pack. I kind of want to hear it in game, kind of want to test it out, but it definitely looks nice. Some nice skins, I guess. I mean, I like that Willow is getting a skin. I like the Azan skin. I like the Ying skin. The Pip skin looks terrible, to be honest. Yeah, the event pass skins, whatever. I don't like the style of it or the theme of it. But that's it for the video. That's it for the first patch notes in 2022. That's it for the first patch notes for Season 5. Let me know what you think about the balance changes. Let me know what you think about the new champion. Let me know what you think about VII. And also let me know what you think about these skins. Do you like it? Do you don't like it? I don't know. Just let me know what you think about everything. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've had a nice day. Thanks for watching, and always remember, don't forget, you guys are awesome.